shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. It's a lovely Saturday evening for me here in North Idaho. And we're being broadcast live, of course, on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. And on YouTube right now. And, yes, YouTube. And if you are listening in on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the bell and all that stuff. Yes. And then no matter how you are listening to me, make sure you stop in and say hello. Either leave me a message in the chat room or send me an email at wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. And let's see. What else? If you want to support the show, please do so. You can go to etsy.com/Monarch Mountain Studio. That's MTN for mountain. Or you can go to patreon.com/The Spaces Between. And if you want to support my cause, you can. Yeah, somebody does, I'm sure, out there, maybe. You could go and do that at PayPal at paypal.me/PaisleyWild. So that's in here. And, yep. If you want to go there, then the phone lines are open. You can give me a call at 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. So, yeah, I think that's all that stuff. Oh, iLife, official sponsor of Truth Frequency Radio. You should go there. Yes, yes, yes. So, looks like we're a busy chat room. I see Ken, TFSN, Gemini, Ruthie, Lewis, Intelligent, and Lucky, Bomber, Julia, Chris Jarvis, Justin, Lewis again, Nessie, Titan, and YTFP Chris. So, yes, yes, yes. I hope y'all are having just a good old time of it. I hear the wind is picking up outside, and there's some potential for thunderstorms, of course, because it's North Idaho, and why would we want summer? So, yeah, it's all of that. Yeah, it's good times. But anyways, I'm hearing the wind picking up, and because we are in North Idaho, things could happen, and if that does, I will pick back up just as quick as I can. I'll try. So, that being said, we had a really good show last night. Really, really good show. We talked about shadow work, and if you haven't been able to watch it yet, you really should go back and check it out. Just kind of went into shadow work and the importance of it, some steps, and that you should be taking, and shadow work's hard to start because it's uncomfortable. And I suppose if I were to give any advice at all, I would say start with journaling. Journaling is important. Write things down, your thoughts, your dreams, and all of that stuff. And YTFP Chris, my hair is not brown. It just kind of looks that way. It's blue and red, actually. So, yeah. Sure. And but yeah, it was a really good show last night. So after talking about shadow work, and Wood Wizard left a message saying, hey, when in doubt, mental health is important, and don't be afraid to go to the doctor for mental health. And you know what? That's real. So I will probably spend some time tonight talking about mental health issues and such in paganism, because you know what? It's real. I mean, anybody who has to stay in the broom closet at for any length of time, I could see how, there would be some depression involved. And even if you're partially out of the broom closet, yes. So, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And then I got to thinking, you know what? Maybe towards or after a bit, we'll also talk about. I found a fun article talking about 7 signs you're experiencing a spiritual awakening. So we'll talk about that too, because you know I think that's something else we should be paying attention to. I do. And if you do have questions, make sure you either raise your hand and say something in one of the chat rooms, or give me a call, because I don't read minds. I missed that class. That's not my skill set. Anybody who knows me knows that. Yeah, that's not my thing. So, yeah, mental health. That is just a hard one, because often we don't realize that we are having a mental health issue until we're so far into it that it's hard to come out of it, and because it's kind of a spiral, and it turns into just a tornado, and it sucks you down, sucks you out, and just messes life up 100%. And it's real. So, anyways, if you do have mental health issues, or you're feeling depressed, or you're concerned about, or if your family is, especially your family or yourself, are concerned that you may be a danger to yourself or others, please call 911 and have yourself seen. And don't put stuff off like that. If you think maybe it's time to go to the hospital and get checked out because you're having a mental health crisis, it's time. If you think it's almost time to do it, you've hit that point where no, you need to just go do and take care of yourself. So on that point, a lot of us deal with mental health issues of some sort throughout life, whether it's depression, or being bullied, or anger, or anxiety, fear, any of those things. And in paganism, or pagans, which is, we're normal people, and we have those same issues too. And often, just in the course of our practice, we find ways to help manage that. And also, and probably the reason why I wanted to talk about, the signs that you're having a spiritual awakening, is because a lot of people seem to come to paganism and witchcraft as they're dealing with a mental health issue. And it's frustrating that they're not just, linked together and help manage at the same time. But just that once you become awakened and aware of some of the things that are causing you some mental health issues, you see that you can't. I'm not going to just. I don't want to bash on Christianity, because I do it all the time and I shouldn't. But there's some things you just can't pray away. There's some things you just can't ritual away, or you can do a witch bottle, you can do meditation, you can do charms and cantrips and all those things, and they may or may not help. They'll help a little bit, but they're helpers rather than the cure, if you will. And because sometimes your depression or your mental health issues due to a biochemical imbalance. And that may be your primary contributor to depression. It happens. And it's really important to deal with the physical plane dimensions of your body and your depression, as well as the spiritual ones. And so sometimes that can mean medication, and that's okay. It could be supplements, it could be change of diet, it could be an increase in physical activity or a decrease in physical activity. But determining which combination of those is truly up to a trained professional. I'm not a doctor. Like I said last night, I don't play one on TV. I haven't stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. Excuse me. And it's more important that you take care of yourself than putting it off. There is a tendency for those who are dealing with some sort of mental health disorder, and not just depression, but mental health disorder in general. You tend to constrict your social life. And it's because, in a way, going out and being around other people isn't fun anymore, or doing things isn't fun anymore. And it often feels like it's just time to hole up or turtle up, I should say, and stay home and not do things, not go out, and just kind of, like I said last night, wallow in it. And a little bit of wallowing is good, but once it becomes habitual, it's hard to do anything different. And it's hard to break that habit to move forward in for the healing process, because not only do you have to do the healing process, but you have to create new good habits. In an article I was reading on the Wild Hunt, excuse me, that one of the authors likened a depression to a common cold, in that it's a very common condition, and it should be, for the common part of it, should be resolved in a couple weeks of self-care. However, like a cold, if it persists longer than that, outside treatment should be sought. So if you've been experiencing some sort of depression for any length of time, especially for more than a couple weeks, then it's time for you to start seeking help and doing something else. Because depression in general, for instance, is easier to treat when it's new still, and it hasn't become like this cloak that you wear every day to everything. Because once depression is with you for years or months, it's like your favorite pair of socks, and they're just on all the time. So you need to really take into account that there are some pagan specific ways of handling depression, and you should make sure you speak to your health practitioner about those things. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm pagan, and I want my mental health treatment to be in line with my faith. I mean, there are Christian therapists out there all the time, or you go seek your pastor for some guidance or spiritual guidance, or your rabbi, or any of those the other faiths out there, and you go to the holy person. Basically, you're saying, hey, you know what, I've got this issue, I need some counseling. They say, all right, cool, sit down and we'll talk about it, and here's whatever proverb or verb or terminology that should help you get through this. Pagans, you can go to a priest or priestess, but you know what? A lot of us as solo practitioners don't have that priest or priestess to connect with. And that's often frustrating, because we also want that spiritual connection in trying to heal ourselves, but it's hard to do. So if you do go to a medical professional to seek some help, make sure they understand that you're pagan and you want to be treated in a pagan specific way that'll help you. And if pharmacy, Eric Carlton, Pharmacy Seeds in chat says it's your mind and body and spirit, and you direct them. Yes, absolutely. Um, because often with a little bit of self care, those things that we don't do very much of, self care is important. Sorry, mosquito. Um, in a couple weeks of self care, you should be feeling better. You should be moving on and getting and not feeling as down or as depressed or as frustrated or upset over things. That's why if it lasts for more than 2 months, then maybe it really is time to seek some guidance or direction that is that has more training and more skills. I'm trying to show you guys a picture here. um, for mental health disorders and helping you to heal. So, for those of you on YouTube, if you look closely, in Don's chair is a dog. That's Basil. Normally he's over here stinking because he farts so horribly. All right, so let's see. Oh, Titan, if you asked a question, I didn't see it. So you'll have to ask it again. Because, yeah. Dalton's not here yet. Oh, hi, Cashew Gazhoonite. That's new. Yeah, Basil farts. Yes, the dog's name is Basil, and yes, he farts. And he's goofy. So, while not every pagan incorporates an earth, water, air, and fire elements into your mental health treatment or ways to help with your mental health, if you will, and spirit, excuse me. They're good. So I'm going to talk about how to do that just a little bit. Because it's good to have that information, even if we don't use it, because you may not consciously use it, but often subconsciously or while we're asleep, we may end up using it. And also, this is why journaling is really good, because sometimes you'll come back, it's like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that's happened. So yes, if you have dreams, write them down in your dream journal, and pay attention, because there are some archetypes that will show up that will help you to get through that mental health issue that you may be experiencing. And so the floof isn't very floofy, just so you guys know. He's a short-haired beagle boxer. So, but you can see his ears. He's sleeping in Don's chair. It's kind of funny. All right, so Earth. So Earth, like the body, can take a real beating when it comes to depression specifically. Your sleep patterns can be disrupted. What difference does it make? Can lead to poor self-care. And in a way, and I love this article, and I'm going to include a link to it in the show notes because it's a good article. The article specifically says that poor self-care is similar to a very passive form of suicidal ideation, because you're not taking care of yourself. And the expert that they speak to says someone who has the flu may not have the energy to go get it taken care of. And so instead of just being the flu, it becomes pneumonia. And it's not so much that they couldn't get it taken care of, or they didn't, or they refused to get it taken care of. They just didn't have the energy, that person. And that happens. So you need to remember that self-care is important. Very, very important. Your activity, your physical activity, your diet are very important earth aspects. Are you getting enough physical activity, enough exercise? Are you spending enough time outside? Because you know what? Just being outside, whether you're sitting on your front step, walking in a park, going for a hike, kayaking down a river or in a lake or any of that, that's really good, because sunlight and vitamin D really good for your body, because, you know, for a lot of us, like here in the Pacific Northwest, we don't get a lot of sunlight sometimes. and and so just getting out there and spending some time in the sun is good. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out and scorch your hide, because that's not good either, but sunlight is good and helps you, the vitamin D process into your system. And vitamin D, that's a big one. It really, really is, because it helps boost your immune system. It makes you feel better. It's the sunshine vitamin. If you don't have enough vitamin D in your system, your body's not going to be able to process calcium very much. So it doesn't matter how much milk you drink or orange juice or what have you. If you don't have enough vitamin D in your system, then it doesn't get processed. So Julie just asked in chat if you can overdose on vitamin D. And that's a good question. And in my non-medical opinion, I got to put that out there, no, I don't think you can overdose on vitamin D. Because so often we just don't absorb it into our body when we're taking supplements. We need to be aware of what we're taking in the supplements, because sometimes it's not the vitamin itself that can cause us some issues. Sometimes it's the binding agent or some of the other ingredients within that vitamin. So as long as you're not getting sunburned outside, no, you're not overdosing on your vitamin D. I mean, your skin will absorb as much vitamin D as you need when you're outside, period. And once the cup is full, the cup is full, and that's okay. So just pay attention. And if you're taking too much, it will come out in your urine. And you know what? That may end up being some very, very expensive urine. So be aware of that. And so, yeah. Vitamin D. Yes. Vitamin D is good for you. And is your diet promoting health? Or are you eating just a bunch of crap food or food product, like processed food? Or, are you going through Mickey D's too much? Too much pizza, box dinners, TV dinners. What are you eating that's fresh food? Fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, and that types of things. Fresh food. That hasn't been overly processed. Yes. Lucky says D3 specifically. Yes. D3 and D2 are two entirely different things. And often our bodies will absorb D2, but not the D3. Or it'll absorb the D3 and not the D2. So yes, you can get tests done. They take some blood, they run it through a thingy, and they says, hey, yes, you have great vitamin D, or no, you don't, and you need some more. So just pay attention. But yeah, food is important, because there's fad diets out there all over the place. And I'm not going to say you should go on a diet. I'm not a diet person. I have tried to alter the way I eat to eat more healthy. But that's an adventure trying to fine tune it, because you know what? Our bodies are all different. And in reality, moderation is better than elimination, unless you're allergic to something. And, you can change the plate size. Honestly, it's a mental thing. If you're used to eating on a big dinner plate, you really, truly, if you eat on a big dinner plate and you put it down, and you stop using the big dinner plate and use a slightly smaller salad plate instead of the dinner plate, if you fill it up and you eat it all, your eyes say, oh, I cleaned my plate, so I must be full. Is your brain's message. Your eyes see there's nothing there. Your tummy says, I have food. Your brain says, you know what? I must be full because my plate is empty. So, according to Dr. Google, and I'm just putting in Dr. Google because Bomber mentions it, I wanted to look it up. It's extremely rare, but it does occur in extreme cases that you can overdose on vitamin D, but it's something that develops over time. It's not something that just happens like this. And it comes from taking large amounts of vitamin D supplements. However, it is almost impossible to get too much vitamin D from sunlight or from the food you eat. So, not D Swigger, but vitamin D. Um, so pay attention. If you're out in the sun, absorbing it through the sun, or if you're getting it from your food, your body won't OD on vitamin D. It's when you take the supplements, and partly it is the other stuff in the supplements that can cause you some health issues. So pay attention. And if you're concerned, go to the doctor, get some blood taken. But guess what? It's the bottom of the hour. We're going to break. We'll be right back. We'll see you in a minute or 3. lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Hope you guys are having a good old time. We're talking about mental health stuff. So, a good time talking about mental health stuff. Yeah. Self care, it's important. So, we've been talking about vitamin D and taking care of your diet because those are kind of, aspects of the earth, by the way, as far as when, mental health and paganism and such. So, you know, if you cannot or don't have a lot of sunlight in your area, because I know some places don't, I'm thinking Seattle for some reason. um, it's hard to get enough sunlight. So there are light boxes. There are vitamin D lights that are pretty specific. They're pretty cool. But if the weather's good, go outside. You're even getting vitamin D on a cloudy day because it's coming through that light is permeating through the clouds. And also exercise is good for depression too. So because you're getting out, you're doing something. And often just changing your environment by leaving the house and going to the store, leaving the house and going for a walk. It interrupts that cycle of negative thinking and that thought process. And so it's good to just get out. It changes the way you think. And pagans specifically, I mean, we're kind of nature nuts anyways. We tend to respond well when we're exposed to the natural world. You're a plant. You're moody. Water yourself and go for a walk.
And Carlton, Mr. Seeds was also just on the portal talking about being, 70 plus percent water and things like that. So you kind of actually are a plant.
You're a plant. Go water yourself and go for a walk.
But that's another thing is make sure that you've been talking about taking care of yourself and technically I guess you're supposed to be taking your weight, you divide it in half, and you're supposed to drink that much water in ounces. So say I'm like 150 pounds and I need 75, half of that is 75, and 75 ounces of water is what I need to, make it through the day without being overly, without being dehydrated. If I was actually 150 pounds, I'd probably be a waif. But, so, that's, something, I'd be like anorexic actually. That's something to keep in mind. You got to keep your balances. We were talking about balances on the portal tonight as well, to keep yourself, in balance. Mm-hmm. And that's, part of the show from last night too, mm-hmm. Keeping yourself, your light side and your shadow side balanced. And you've been talking about mental health, being fed right and watered correctly and sunlight, that's mm-hmm. pretty profound stuff. It's really simple to do. Mm-hmm. Seed says don't, make sure to get your electrolytes. Your major electrolytes are sodium, potassium, magnesium, and there's always one I forget. Your 4 major electrolytes.
Salt,
sodium,
potassium,
magnesium, and I forget the other one. And I'm sure somebody will tell me here shortly. Yeah. But so make sure you get those too, because we were just talking about, different ways to filter water and take care of water, and a lot of those ways remove the natural minerals that are mm-hmm. beneficial to your...
Carlton says phosphorus.
Phosphorus, okay. Well, whatever. Anyhow.
Here in the Pacific Northwest, often we need selenium also because we don't have a lot in our soil.
That's right.
You need, and also, so pay attention to where you live, because if you're getting, even if you go to the farmer's market to get your produce or a natural food store to get your produce, you need to make sure that you are getting enough of the nutrients that you should mm-hmm. if your ground was healthy too, because often, dirt, well, yes, it's dirt. It's not the same throughout the world. And there's a reason why the Midwest is considered the corn belt or the grain belt. It's because that's where so many grains are grown, because that's the right soil for it. So just be aware. And if you're curious, your extension office, your local extension office should be able to tell you here in the U.S. And I'm sure there's an equivalent of that for pretty much anywhere around the world. Extension office is often associated with a community college or a state-funded college in your region. But yeah, so the Mayo Clinic says about 11 and a half cups or 2.7 liters of water a day for women, and about 15 and a half cups or 3.7 liters of water per day for men. So
That's still a lot of water.
that's a lot of flipping water. And if you drink just water, and you need to pay attention to your electrolytes, because if your electrolytes become unbalanced, man, I got to tell you, that is a screaming headache.
Oh, you know what? Also, you got to make sure you have your electrolytes also, because for another thing that we talked about, is Dee clucking like a chicken yet? Because she's
She was
been.
buck 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 buck.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
Okay. Because another thing we talked about on the paranormal portal was with Carlton, of course, is your body is an electrical system. Your nervous system is your electrical system, and if you're not keeping it, you put electrolytes in your. If you have what's called a flooded battery in cars, they don't make them very often anymore. But you used to have to put water in your battery in your car, but you would have to put. They say distilled water, but once again, distilled water has no electrolytes in it. They actually make electrolyte additives to put in things like that. So, like in your solar rigs, if you have batteries, you probably have flooded batteries because it's easier to take care of. You can take care of them and keep them longer as long as you're adding water and an electrolyte. So keep that in mind when you're talking about health and mental health issues and things like that. Make sure your electrical system is still firing on.
Yes, and a lot of that
all
stuff
cylinders.
you really do need to have your blood drawn by a medical professional, pee in a cup. They'll run some labs. And say, hey, listen, I want a panel of tests that will show me what my electrolyte levels are, what my vitamin levels are, what do I need, because maybe I'm feeling off or something like that. Because often we can adjust our mental health by adjusting the food that we eat. Because if you're just not getting some sort of vitamin, mineral, nutrient or something, yeah, you're going to feel it. So, yeah, water is very, very important, because not only do you need water to be hydrated, you need water to flush the toxins out of your body. And it's hard, so just keep in mind, yep, got to flush those out. And so feelings about others and yourself, or mood specifically, is often associated with the water element. And so often our loved ones are going to be the first ones to notice that we're acting or behaving a little bit depressed or negative. There's something going on. Maybe you're in a funk or something. And so if your partner or your friend say, hey, honey, what's going on? You just seem really down lately. Don't blow them off. Just say, hey, just this happened or that happened, or whatever it is. It's a good opportunity just to have that conversation and express what's bothering you or what's going on. And those conversations are hard, but again, that's part of the reason why we journal things, to help us communicate not just with others but with ourselves. And if we can communicate better with ourselves, it's easier to communicate with others. It's amazing how it's all linked. So yes, the other people, maybe they'll help support you to get out and be more physically active, or change your diet, or to drink more water, or whatever it is that you might need. Because a lot of in depression, with the water element and your emotions and your moods, that's when it's like, man, I'm not good enough, or I'm worthless, or life is hopeless, or any of that stuff. Those are all those negative emotions that you have going on, and that has to do with the water element. So just sometimes you just got to rinse it away with water, literally, and understand that sometimes you just got to step up to the plate, acknowledge that you do have those emotions, you do have those feelings, and express them. And if you don't feel comfortable expressing them to a loved one, because I get it, sometimes that's not who you want to talk to, There are places where you can go. Here in the U.S., we have a lot of sliding fee or low income clinics if you don't have health insurance. With Obamacare, a lot of people have health insurance, and there's mental health services included in that. And if you're on state benefits, there's mental health services included in that. A lot of employers have specific benefit packages that are separate from even their health insurance, specifically to help you with mental health issues. And take advantage of it. Don't let the thought or the fear that it's going to look bad or be a black mark in your record if you need to go get your mental health issues addressed. Now, I do know, like in the military, for instance, acknowledging that you have a mental health disorder of any kind is different, because it can give a black mark depending on what your security level is or what's going on and what's causing it. But if you just lost a loved one, a little bit of depression is actually really normal. You're not being abnormal, you're being normal. And it's okay to grieve. And sometimes to help us through that grieving process, we do need to talk to someone. And again, it's okay. Grief is normal. So the next element of air, air is associated with intellect and thought. So often we need to, again, while we journal things, what does your depression and the thoughts that you're having regarding your depression or your mental health issues telling you about you? This is why journaling, again, is a really good thing to do, because you can write down those things that are causing you mental health stress. Distress, stress, distress, any of that. Because often we don't even know that we're starting to slide into that funk because it's our normal.
You're just so used to it.
Yeah, you become so used to it. And often depression, it doesn't just hit you all at once. You don't wake up one morning, it's like, oh, I'm depressed. What was me? It's, a stepped or a gradual thing. And it's almost insidious, depression is. And man, you just gotta, if you're writing it down, you can see that progression.
Right. Well, you also mentioned, you were talking about vitamin D, and you can, you can, if overdose on vitamin D if you're taking supplements. And you mentioned also the additives that keep it. I used to work in a vitamin factory. That make it into tablets and things like that, things that make it stick together, all of that. And so you said that after a while of taking things like that, you build up a toxicity is what it is. And it's the same thing, when you're taking in grief, or you're slowly sliding down that slope. It's you're adding that toxicity in, you're adding to the toxicity that's already available. You're not purging it, you're not getting rid of it. So breathing is good because that's centering.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's very centering. So sorry, I'm trying to type and talk at the same time.
Oh boy,
I'm just not very good at it. Oh, hey, Nacy. So often, so if someone says, "Hey, honey, you seem to be really down lately," maybe it's a good time to go back and read that journal. And it's like, oh, that's what happened. I can see it happening. And if you're comfortable with it, because sometimes people aren't, you can allow others to read your journal and say, "This is what's happening. Help me." It can be often a tool to create conversation.
Well, and it's easier to, because the thoughts are already formed.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to explain it.
I
Well,
know.
there might be some explaining
Right.
along the way, but you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
just vomit it all out. It's like, okay, here's what's happening, just like you said. It's already a fully formed thought. There may be some clarification, things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like for me personally, I can get so mad that I just want to cry, and at that point, it's like my mouth shuts down, and the only thing that comes out is tears. I'm angry, and if someone asks me, "Why are you so angry?" It's like, because I am. Or, "Why are you crying?" It's like, because I am. and it's like my mouth completely disengages from rational thought, and it's frustrating, very frustrating. So, um, when you are writing in your journal, if you start using words like, well, what's the point? I'm failing at this, or I'm a failure. Those are generally key words in your journaling that shows that, hey, you've got some sort of depression going on. And if you see something that's, lots of sorrow or hopelessness or just defeated type of writing, yeah, that's a sign that you need some help. And shadow work is good, but it's not enough. You probably should be seeking the advice of a medical professional. And Lucky mentioned, because she was ex-military and I knew she was going to chime in, so military members can go to family services for counseling, talk therapy, etc. And those that do have security concerns can speak with their unit senior enlisted officer, I think, for guidance. So there is resources for troops. So yes, that's good. I knew she was going to say something. Thank you. So, sometimes we also notice that different things help us with our depression or our negative feelings. Sometimes it's music. Sometimes it's listening to ocean waves or the sound of a fountain running, or, water lapping on a shore is just, I don't know, it's so peaceful and soothing. I've got wind chimes that blow every so often, and just the sound of running water and such, with the wind chimes and the wind in the trees. Yeah. For me, that's just such a peaceful, relaxing feeling, and I could meditate to that for a long, long time. So
Until you gotta pee.
pretty much, yeah. Because I'm old. Actually, a coworker chewed me out for saying I'm old. She goes, "No, you're not. You're young because you are what you think." It's like, well, okay, I may be young, but my knees are old.
Parts of me aren't feeling so hot.
Like, all right, well, I'm young, but wow, gravity's making that floor a long ways away. So
It's getting closer by the day.
exactly. So, writing in general is often just a great tool and resource for coping with depression or mental health issues, grief, any of that. And don't be afraid to write things down. Your writing doesn't have to be often, and it doesn't have to be clear. It doesn't have to be precise. Remember, it's your journal.
Well, yeah.
Write however you want to write.
And you've mentioned, it could just be bullet points, and because just something to jog the memory of what you were talking about. For me, it's easy to just write, a short sentence for like a whole paragraph and just go, this is what I was thinking, and this is why I was thinking it. So that's what I would write down is, this is what I was thinking, because it'll trigger the memory that says, and this is why I was doing this, or I don't yeah. So anyhow,
yeah. So just whatever works for you. Remember, it's your journal. Write it however you want to write it. So the next element, fire. So fire can be very challenging for those with depression, because your depression may be saying, I don't care about anything. I don't have the strength to do anything, period, nothing, etc., etc. But fire is action, often. Taking action to help cope with you. Maybe it's taking a shower. Maybe it's changing your clothes. Maybe it's putting clean sheets on your bed. I don't know about y'all, but I got to tell you,
sleep so much better in clean sheets.
Clean sheets are awesome.
It's the sheets, man.
It's the sheets. So, if I wasn't so concerned about a hotel sometimes, I got to tell you, they have clean sheets. I just love the feeling of climbing into bed with clean sheets. I don't know. I don't know why, but it does. So, yeah, sometimes taking that first step to do something is just a tremendous act of willpower, and it's just it takes some strength to do it, and courage, and we forget often just how much courage it takes to to get through grief or depression or trying to process a mental health thing. So those of you that have, you're heroes if you stop and think about it, because that takes some real strength to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chris Jarvis says that he never really wrote during depression, but he would draw. And you know what? In a way, drawing is language. You've seen the pictoglyphs, pictoglyphs, not glyphs, in Egypt. Is that writing or is that drawing? There's a real fine.
It's still just conveying a message.
Exactly, it's the same. So you're communicating in some fashion with yourself, because you can look back at those pictures. It's like, oh, that's how I was feeling during this time. So if you're drawing pictures, by all means, do it. Maybe date them so you can kind of see where you're at chronologically and through time. So yeah, it's good. All of that is good. Yes, working with plants. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, action. Taking some sort of action, little actions, often can break the patterns that actually feed into depression. And so yeah, whether it's, clean out your sock drawer. That can actually be a big task depending on your sock drawer. Or I don't want to talk about my sock drawer.
They're all left foot socks.
They're all left foot socks, yes. In purging your closet, sometimes that helps with your depression.
Decluttering,
decluttering. If you've got a stack
do it honestly.
Exactly, do it honestly, and with compassion for yourself. Don't just get rid of everything.
We had somebody do that. A friend of ours just got rid of all of the stuff, and then had to rebuild it all.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the way that they dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
But was that the issue? But there are things you should get rid of. There are things you don't really need to get rid of.
Yes. So see it. So if you're decluttering and purging, do it with compassion. Chris Jarvis, you do not have a mental problem because you draw dragons. Hello? That's just deep cleansing breath. Pharmacy Seeds says chocolate is excellent. And I think, yes, chocolate is excellent. And if you're using for therapeutic properties, dark chocolate is best. And pair it with wise sun exposure. Yes. Fresh roasted coffee. Yes, coffee. Coffee with a double dark chocolate muffin for breakfast. I would eat chocolate cake for breakfast. It's got all the right stuff in it.
It's got eggs and flour, breakfast foods.
It's like a pancake. It's got the word cake in it. So, anyways. So yes, action can break the patterns that feed into depression. And sometimes it's just a matter of standing in front of the window. It could be lighting a candle. It's the little things often that, especially if you do them repeatedly, will help you get through this. And journal it. If you stand in front of the window soaking up the sunlight for 5 minutes, you're like, wow, that felt so good. Write it down. I know that I clean house better on a sunny day than I do on a rainy day. Because a rainy day, often I just want to curl up on the couch with a book and lots of coffee. So, next is spirit. So, spirit is often one's practices and understandings. So, daily spiritual practice can be just a huge component when it comes to depression and mental health issues. Whether it's your home altar or just meditation or just putting it out there that, whether you're calling on the divine, the goddess, the god, Great Spirit, your particular pantheon, your path, whatever it is, just ask for help.
What
often.
What? I'm sorry. What did you say is good for that? What was the first thing you said?
Shoot, I don't know. You want me to remember what I said 30 seconds ago?
Well, you got it written down, right?
No, I'm reading off a website.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Sorry.
So, spiritual practice You could rewind it and listen to it. Spiritual practice and calling on the sacred, whether it's your god, your goddess, whomever it is that you honor, to ask for help as you're getting through life, the daily tasks that you have to do. And sometimes just a little ritual for self healing. It could be a chant, it could be candlelight, it could be a poem, lighting some incense, affirmations. Any of that is just good to help with that mental health. Getting moving forward. Some people use banishing pentagrams, witch bottles to get rid of bad luck. So everybody's laughing at me about being 30 seconds down the thought train. On that note, we're going to break. We'll be right back in about 3 minutes.
We will, so mote it be the spell forever done.
Well, you know what? I start talking and then I realize the mute button's still on. So, yeah. So this is Paisley Wild, and we're off adventuring into the spaces between. I hope y'all are having a good day. morning, evening. Um, so just really, yeah, I muted myself. Yeah, it happens. So we're talking about, just some depression, mental health stuff, and stuff. You know, often, and we're specifically talking about the element of spirit right at the moment. Um, because often if we're calling out to the deities that we honor, and asking for help, they'll help us. They really will. Why are you chuckling?
The fifth element.
It's the fifth element. Okay, Lilo. So, big bada boom. Um, I just, my thought just went squirrel or raccoon. What were we gonna say now? Anyways, never mind. So you can make a gratitude list. Sometimes what you need is to just sit down and think about, what are you thankful for? Even though it may feel like life just sucks, and I get it. I get it. I really do. Um, sometimes you just make a gratitude list. What are things that are good? And often, once we get into that positive feedback loop, that helps us break out of that negativity that we were just kind of wallowing in. And sometimes, and we really need that gratitude list. Go back and read it. Keep it in your journal. I know that some people often, and this is a good thought. I like this one. Is every day, just write down one thing that you're thankful for, or something that made you feel good about the day. Just one thing, and fold it up and put it in a jar. Should do it every day.
Your gratitude jar.
Gratitude jar. And then anytime you feel negative and you feel like life is just beating you up for whatever reason,
Pull out the winning ticket.
yeah, pull one out. Read it. Because the things that we feel gratitude for often are the things that we love and the things that love us. So, yeah, gratitude, love, kindness, health, patience, love, again, Carlton, yes, all of that. But the things that made us smile, maybe it's the fluffy kitten, sometimes it's the stupid cat videos, sometimes you got a hug from someone at work, or
the dog farting in the middle of a YouTube video and making you laugh.
Okay, so
Or
funny
cringe.
thing about dog farts.
Oh boy.
Again, this is a funny thing. Basil, the sticky dog, one time I was giving him a bath because he rolled in a cow pie. And it was bad. Instead of being a brown dog, he was a green dog. It was horrible. Anyway, so here I am. I have the bathtub full of water, and I'm scrubbing him, and I'm disgusted, right? And he farts, and bubbles go everywhere. And he stops because he'd been kind of panicking because he doesn't like taking a bath because he's a dog. Anyways, he stops and he looks around like, what on earth is that? He stares at the bubbles as they're popping, and he's like, where did those come from? What was that? So yeah, that was a funny dog fart story. But yeah, it was good. It was hilarious. I still remember it. It makes me smile when I think about it. I should have wrote it down, put it in my gratitude jar, because it was funny.
Have an attitude for gratitude.
Oh, look at you and your
know.
platitudes.
Oh, watch out. She might be a long fellow.
You never know. It could happen. But no, that gratitude jar is really, really good. And sometimes we really need those affirmations. Did you know the dry erase markers write on mirrors and on windows? And you can wipe them off and you can write new things. So, and also on refrigerator doors. So if you need that positive gratitude, or maybe someone in your household that needs that positive message, don't be afraid to write it someplace where they're going to see it. The microwave door, the oven, the top of your ceramic stove. I don't know. I hate my ceramic stove. The glass
it's not
top
ceramic,
stove.
it's glass.
Whatever it is,
Sucks.
I don't like it. But your fridge, your Maybe you've got a
Well,
picture window.
and don't forget, you can, just take your finger and write on the window,
Hmm.
and or your mirror in the bathroom, and when it steams up, it, sends messages.
As long as I don't think it's a ghost, because that's an entirely different message.
You know something else you can do with bananas?
Yes. I know you can write a message on a banana and it browns, and so the message pops out.
Run.
Which,
Sorry.
on the one hand, could be a great place to leave a message, but on the other hand,
It could be a horrible place to leave a message.
It could escalate fast. So, anyways, so yeah, you remember that depression or mental health issues, all of that stuff, often it will alter your perception of self-worth. It can lead to a neglect of your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And remember, and a holistic approach to treating mental health issues in general, not just speaking it out to a physical therapist, a mental health professional of some sort. But physical activity, monitoring your self-talk, because if you're saying no, I'm a piece of crap all the time, that's all you're going to hear. You're not going to hear any of the positive stuff. So,
Well, you're gonna talk yourself into your reality.
Mhm.
I say that all the
Yes.
time. What you say becomes your reality.
Mhm.
I've always said that.
Yep. And regular spiritual practice, and it doesn't. And I'm not saying you need to pray. Although if that's your gig, that's your jam, and makes you feel good, do it. But spiritual mindfulness. There have been a few times when I've just felt really defeated, and I will go out and I will talk to my oak tree that's out in the backyard, and I will just do a little bit of meditation there, and I will literally hug my oak tree, and then I'll pick the spider or ants out of my hair, because that seems to happen. But it just, whatever it is that is part of your spiritual path, do it, and it'll help you. Even though it seems pointless sometimes, it will help, because often it's the little things that build up over time to create the big impacts to your life. And remember, changes in diet, changes in your medication can affect your mental health. So if you have maybe an autoimmune disorder, and doctor puts you on a new medication, you really do need to be journaling what you're experiencing, because maybe you're experiencing some sort of side effect that you need to your doctor needs to be aware of. Or if you have some physical disorder of some sort, or health disorder. So, and mental health issues, depression, those are serious. They're real illnesses. Don't let anybody tell you that depression is not real, because, yeah, it's real. And any changes in self-perception, that especially over the long term, really means you should be seeking some sort of assistance or help somewhere to help with your mental health issues. So, any thoughts there, Mr. Don?
Uh-huh.
Do you have any thoughts? So that's the end of my little article on that. So it's just, hey, do you have any thoughts?
No, I mean, it's, whatever is going to make you feel better about the situation, is okay. I mean, like you said, at some point you're going to have to just kind of throw your hands in the air and go see a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Or a mental health specialist of some type,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be a therapist or, psychoanalyst, or,
Mm-hmm.
the prison doctor, whatever that may be. Well, I used to work in a prison anyhow. Whatever that may be, and so, those are, it's okay. But, and several people in the chat have said, you've got to make sure though that you, especially when you're dealing with grief, you've got to feel that. You've got to let it run its course.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use that medication, or I'm not going to say medicine. Medicine's good for you. Medication is not. You can't use that medication or whatever the doctor's telling you to do as a bandage, because that's all that really is it's something to help you get through the process.
Mm-hmm. It's a tool.
Yeah, it's a tool. It's not a long-term
So
crutch.
think of it this way: medication is a tool to help you build the house. It is not a wall of the house.
Don't let it become your wheelchair.
Yes. So, yeah, and meditation's good, whether it's walking, showering, music, sound, any of that stuff. That will often help with how you're feeling.
You know,
And
Naysay just said sometimes it's as easy as changing your perspective of what you're focusing on.
Mhm.
You know, so if you're looking at the right side of a picture and you realize the left side is actually, more joyous, like that famous. I think it's
I don't know what you're talking about.
Monet.
Monet.
Monet. That Monet painting, I think it is, of the park. You know, think of that picture. Because on like one side there's these people doing this thing, and on another side there's people
Mhm.
doing this thing, and maybe you've been concentrating on one side so long that you've
Mhm.
neglected to see that there's something that you enjoy on the other side. So move to that other side. Just change your perspective.
Mhm. So for me, this really is thinking outside of the box, because often mental health issues put us in the box, and all we can do is see what's directly in front of us. We forget that there's something behind us or something to the side of us.
Right.
So, you know,
Well,
take a 90-degree turn and look out a different window. And
yeah. So instead of looking out the south side of the house all the time, look out
Mhm.
the north side of the house.
So I have to tell you, sometimes I look out the south side of the house and it's a beautiful sunshiny day, and the north side of the house, it's raining.
Yeah, well, welcome to Idaho.
Yeah, I love Idaho. So, yes. And it's, change your perspective. You'll find that it will help you in the long run. So, bum-ba-da-da. Yes, I really liked that article. That was a good article from On the Wild Hunt. So, yeah, I'll have the link in the show notes.
Hmm.
So, so we talked about shadow work last night. We talked about mental health stuff this morning. And so,
This morning. Okay. Hey, if you want me to start
previously,
my day again. I don't really want to start another day. But,
just saying. So, as was doing research for the show tonight, I came across the article, 7 Signs You're Experiencing a Spiritual Awakening. So I got to thinking, this might be fun. Maybe it's lighthearted, maybe it's not. I didn't read it beforehand because I
These
wanted
are
to be
always fun.
surprised by it. Because sometimes they're fun, they're good, and sometimes you're like, oh, are you kidding me?
Shut up, Karen.
Exactly. Yeah, Karen. So,
Let's try paganism and witchcraft for 7 days.
right? 7 days. Yeah, 7-day witch. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. So, as everybody knows that listens, I've been talking about, we experienced a shift of energy in general, I think, or I believe, with the turning of the year. And when 2020 happened, we underwent a shift. I think we're going through the end of an age right now, so things are changing. We're experiencing some things we haven't experienced before or don't often experience. And when an age ends, often it's not a very smooth transition. So yes, that's what we're seeing. And even the resonance of the earth has changed itself since summer solstice. I mean, a lot. I'll talk about that next weekend. But yeah, so there's been a lot of stuff that's happened just since the solstice. So I think as much stuff that happened in the first 6 months of the year, I have a feeling there's going to be a bunch more in the next. We're not done yet. I'm sorry. I think it'll get worse before it gets better. But more people are starting to notice and wake up to that the world is changing, and they're feeling that desire to change, and they're wanting to recognize that spiritual side. And whether it's, you want to call it third eye, enlightenment, or whatever you want to call it, spiritual awakening. So I just figured I'd go through this article. And there's, some other stuff here. I'll include the link for this because why not? Unless it's horrible. But the first symptom of spiritual awakening sounds like an illness. You've got the flu. You've been diagnosed with spiritual awakening.
Oh, shit.
Take some Life and you'll feel better in the morning. So anyways, but no, synchronicity is the first one. So when you open your mind and begin the awakening process, you should know this is probably irreversible. Um, yeah, I'd say it's irreversible. You may muffle it if you change your mind later, but
Well, you can't unhit that acid.
basically, yeah.
you just you can't put
But I
Pandora
didn't
back in the box.
inhale. But yeah, the awakening, that energy is starting to flow through your body. You're noticing it, and you may decide, this is too much, and try to ignore it. But kind of like, if you don't deactivate your mead right, you may blow a cork. So just be aware. So yeah, take a deep breath. Once you start the awakening process, just hang on to your butt because it's going to be a ride. Um, and that's not a bad thing. It could be really good. You're going to learn some things, and that's very good. And you're going to meet some fun people. I mean, look at all the people I have in my chat rooms. Are you kidding? They're awesome. Thank you for being here. So, oh, hold on. Let me make sure there's nobody in the phone room. Okay, cool. No one's in the green room. So, number 2.
The
You
Paisley
want,
room.
yeah, the Paisley room. You want to be alone or with new people that you feel, wow, someone did not proofread this. I'm sorry for the grammar early. You want to be alone or you want to be with new people that you feel, vibrate or on the same energy resonance. They resonate with you. Yeah, vibrate just sounds dirty. With who you are trying to become. Yes. So, often I'm gonna throw a rock at you.
I'm resonating and I'm becoming. Sorry.
Okay. The peanut gallery over there. So, often when you're going through a spiritual awakening, you're gonna find that you have toxic people in your life that you just don't have time for. You don't have the energy for their toxicity. You don't have the patience for their negativity. And you just,
Want to choke the living shit out of them?
yeah, basically. Or you just don't need it anymore. So, and that's real. Nikola Tesla said antisocial behavior is a trait of intelligence in a world full of conformists. And I love that particular quote. Don't be a sheeple. Why are you biting your
I just totally missed what was the quote?
Nikola Tesla
Yes, I got that
said
part.
antisocial behavior is a trait of intelligence in a world full of conformists.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, don't
So-
be a cloney.
Yeah, don't be a cloney. Don't
No
be a
sheeples.
sheeple. Because those who are conforming to society's perceived norms,
Or becoming norms.
norms and Karens, they
Rather be a rose of Sharon than a bush of Karens.
you're just
That was awesome.
on it tonight.
Sorry.
Actually, that was a good show. But yeah, it's be unique, be yourself, embrace who you are.
In a room full of sheep, be a wolf.
Rar.
No, wolf.
Woof.
Rawr.
Number 3 is hypersensitivity. So your 5 physical senses, sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell, will become more developed. You will experience them more. So you may see things you didn't see before, smell things you didn't smell before, touch things that you didn't expect to touch before. Like, I know your brain. Shh. For instance, if you go to a rock shop, often if you're not experiencing that spiritual awakening, if you go into a rock shop, you won't. If you're not there yet, you won't feel the energy of the different stones in the rock shop. or your esoteric shop. You won't feel the energy from the stuff there. And I mean, singing bowl. If you've ever had the opportunity to hear a singing bowl that's resonating with you, really, truly, it's like your reality just shifted. It's like, sorry, I'm going to step into this dimension over here now. I'll come back later. Please leave a message after the bong. So, I mean, it's real. So, learn to trust your intuition. Really, your intuition is your subconscious saying, "Hey, wake up, people. This is a real and your spirit guide is tired of face palming. It's time to do something different." So, experience the emotions, write them down in your journal, and if you are feeling hypersensitive to something, maybe as you awaken, you may see spirits or energies that you didn't see before. It's real. Or you may hear things you didn't hear before. I mean, how many people out there in the normies of the world go for a hike in the forest and they hear noises and they think, oh, it must be a coyote or a wolf or a bear? Most of them. How many of them think, oh, well, that's Bigfoot and I'm in the wrong spot and I should hang a left now and go a different direction? So, it's like two people might both be speaking English, but it's not the same language. Left coast versus right coast. I mean, seriously, they often it's interesting hearing two people from very different politic backgrounds try to have a conversation without losing their mind these days. They're both speaking the same language, or same English, but it's not the same language. So, you write it down as you're experiencing these things. That's what your journal's for. You may become experience some sadness about suffering in the world, and this one's actually kind of interesting, because a lot of the stuff that's in our world today, here in the U.S. at least, I don't know about everywhere else. I only know about the U.S. for sure. There's a lot of superficial crap out there here in the U.S. And as you become more spiritually awakened, you may become less interested in shopping. That's a real thing. Mm-hmm. Eating too much, or just you don't want to do the things that everybody else normally does. You may get tired of going to the bars every Saturday night. Not that a lot of the bars are open right now, but or a bonfire, or whatever. You may start developing more of a relationship with, nature or animals, or, the needy, perhaps. And you start to feel that there's a lot of things that are just unfair in the world that are happening, and that's what, idiots on the road. That's why a lot of pagans are very aligned with nature, or are nature activists or environmentalists and all that stuff. Not all of them. Some of them are in it for the politics. But you may feel that there is really something happening that in the world that you feel resonates with you, that you feel compelled to stand on the proverbial soapbox and make a stand for, to help the suffering of something or someone or some place. And that's okay, because you're becoming more and more aware of things that before it didn't really matter. It's kind of like all these environmentalists that fly around on private jets. That to me is counterintuitive. You'd think if you're really that worried about the environment, you would ride coach. Or business, at least. So, in a plane full of other people. Although, I don't know that I'd want to get on a plane right now. It's a big flying petri dish.
They always have been.
Yeah, but it seems to be more so. So, I am not going to go on to the next one because we're almost at our last break for the night.
Last break? How does that happen?
I don't know. And tonight is just flying. Seriously. What do you think? Night is flying by in 20 minutes, seconds or less?
Well, it's funny. I've been streaming for almost 4 hours now.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in some way related to a stream for four more hours. 4 hours now.
Mm-hmm.
And it really doesn't seem like it, but the old body's getting tired.
I'm surprised you don't have any ice cream.
We're about to go to break.
We are about to go to break.
And dopamine is good.
It is chocolate. All right, so we're going to go to break. We'll see you guys in about 3 minutes-ish. Yeah, about that. While we go pay the bills. So we'll talk to you right after the break. We'll continue this article about spiritual awakening and stuff.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, all the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me. The songs of Mother Goddess and of Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and you know what? We're off adventuring into the spaces between, and we just finished up our last break for the evening. So, yeah.
Did you unmute your mic?
I did.
Okay.
I double checked.
Just checking.
I left my ear camera turned off, though. And so, anyway, spiritual awakening. 7 signs of spiritual awakening. And because, spiritual awakening is important, I think more and more of us are experiencing it all the time. And it's good. Let's see. So, number 5 is you have to have the courage to give up toxic people and toxic habits. Because you know what? Negative thinkers exhaust you. Fake people are exhausting.
Well, and you can also start emulating those negative behaviors.
Yep. Those toxic behaviors. Think of toxic habits and people. They're like the coronavirus of spiritual health. They will suck the life right out of you like a bad vampire. So, and if that's not who you want to be, then don't hang around with those people. Hang around with people that you want to be around, and that you want to be. So, generally speaking, the rule of thumb is that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you stop and sit down, you look around at the 5 people you spend the most time with, maybe this is something you should put in your journal, and think about how they're impacting your life. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it toxic? Is that who you want to be when you grow up? If it's not, then what on earth are you doing being around them? Remember, you can't save someone else. Okay, so I'm going to say this again. I'm probably going to say it a couple times here. You cannot save other people. Do you know why? It's because they have to be in a place where they can choose to be saved. You can't force someone to be well. You can't force someone to recover or to go into a treatment facility and actually go through the program and have it work until they commit to it. It's just real. Honestly, it's real. So yes, if you're not ready to just let go of that stuff, then maybe you're not ready. And remember, the awakening process really truly is getting rid of the old non-you bits and pieces and becoming the new you. Who is it you want to be? I'm not sure what happened in chat.
Yeah, that's not right.
So, yeah. Not sure what happened there. There we go.
That should have did it.
It should have did it. Okay.
Sorry, Mama.
Not sure what happened, Bomber. Don's using his cell phone. He may have fat-fingered something while eating his burrito.
Hey, don't talk about my burritos.
Well, you're not eating cake. It was a burrito. I'm just telling you. So, I think it's fixed.
So anyhow.
Anyways. So, number 6. that feeling that you get when you become a new person is real. Yep, yep, yep. Um, and it's not something that's really tangible, per se. But it's kind of, it's like sleeping on clean sheets. Seriously.
Lucky.
What happened?
Nothing. Anyhow.
Okay. Not sure what happened there, but okay. So yeah, you feel like you're someone else. Maybe after going to the gym, or maybe you've been wearing yoga pants or sweats or something for a little bit, because you've been stuck in quarantine or whatever, and you've been going, doing your workouts and doing some other stuff, at home, and you're not really thinking about it. And then you go to get dressed because suddenly you have to go back to work, or you have to go out into society, and pajamas really aren't the right clothes to wear anymore. And you put on your favorite pair of jeans and you realize your jeans are too big. Maybe you've lost weight over quarantine, unlike most of us that probably gained some. But that, and then suddenly you realize, and then you step on the scale. It's like, hey, where are my jeans fitting differently? And you realize maybe you lost 5 pounds, or 10 pounds, or whatever it is. And so that feeling is like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. That wonderful fuzzy OMG feeling. That's real. That feeling is that new person feeling. Oh, so you Don's Dumbledore. Okay.
What? Never mind.
But you don't have to be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, really, truly, because remember, life is a journey. It is what you're making of it. And sometimes the road goes up, sometimes it goes down, and sometimes it does loop-de-loop. So just roll with it. And remember, you're becoming a new person. And the last one here is, you like to stay calm and base your actions on love and peace.
Oh.
And honestly, this means you can't drive the karma bus, unfortunately, because the karma bus driver is not calm or peaceful. Think of that skinny, weird bus that's on Harry Potter. That's the karma bus with the maniacal, shrunken heads laughing. So, and the blind guy driving it. That's what it was. He wasn't blind, but he had glasses thicker than this computer screen. I'm the new Defense Against the Arts teacher. I don't know, they only last for $1. Are you sure about that? So, anyways, as you are growing and you're noticing these things and you're on this spiritual awakening, suddenly you understand why you're doing things. The words you say, the your thoughts you're experiencing, and how you in your entirety is starting to impact others and those around you. Because you've already learned from fear, or living in fear, with hate, envy, all of those negative emotions, only has a negative effect on yourself and your body and your mental health. And you stop wallowing in it. And you realize that, no, I don't have to be afraid. I don't hate you. You have nothing that I should be envious of, which is kind of a interesting statement all by itself. But but all of those negative feelings and emotions that we generally have towards others, or as a result of our interactions with others, they stop having that same power over us, and we're able to just kind of ignore them, and they stop being just this thing that, often for the sheeples out there, they're so stuck and they can't stop being a sheeple that they don't know what else to do. So, anyways, so that was the 7 signs that you're going through a spiritual awakening.
Is that like the breaking of the 7 seals?
No, that's an entirely different book. This is the sequel. Sorry. So, remember, freedom is being present. We live 2 lives, honestly. Actually, no, we live 3 lives. We live life in our thoughts. We live life as our experience of the present moment. Actually, no, there's a couple of this. We live life as we see it could possibly happen. So there's more than just three. And we live life as in retrospect. So what happened in the past? And remember, freedom comes as our life in our thoughts diminishes and our experiences of the present moment starts to become predominant. So we start seeing how things are impacting us now. We're living in the now. And we learn how to balance the stuff that we've lived through, the stuff that we could live through, the stuff that's just perking around in our brains because our brains don't shut off, all of that. We learn how to live in the present moment. And that is freedom. We're not dragging the chains from the past and we're not pushing the bus from the future. We're just living in the now. So, just side note, as I'm did research for the show tonight, one of the articles that popped up is from Christianity Today. It says, "What made mental illness a sin?" And it's blaming paganism. It, it's in the title. Straight up, it says, "Nope, paganism made mental illness a sin." Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, oh, Pete. Yeah, that's kind of funny. No, that's not the way it works. That's not the way any of this works, Karen.
Tick Lucky off.
It is sorry, Lucky. Didn't mean to rock your boat that hard. I just thought it was funny because you know what? Yeah, irony. That's so ironic. Oh, it's rusted.
Huh. So,
You know how? Just I know your your collegiate background and such was in criminal justice. How many of the big name or big names in crime?
you mean the infamous?
Yeah, were Christian in some way, shape, or form.
Well,
Versus the number that were truly pagan.
That's not something we can, or when we were dealing with someone, that's not anything we were supposed to be privy to, because it can color your response and your answer, the way you that's like if you knew someone was an SO and you have children, you know. You don't want to talk to those people.
Right.
And
well, so I'm looking more for your interpretation.
Well,
and not from when you're in school.
Like if you're looking at like, was Charles Manson a good Christian? Was he Christian? I'm pretty sure he was brought up in that belief, at least. You know, there aren't many people who committed crimes and said I did it because, you know, Athena told me to, or you know,
I don't know
Odin
that I've
told me to. You know, it's not very often, that somebody actually says, well, I'm pagan, and I did it because I'm pagan, But we know of staunch Christians. Dennis Rader, the BT, the I don't torture BTK, the BTK killer, was staunch Lutheran. We know that, what was his name, John Link, murdered his entire family back in the 50s. Very, very old school Lutheran. Of course, we know there's a lot of Catholic murderers. We know there's a lot of, and I would have to say that, these people have some kind of psychosis, which is mental health issues. But once again, we don't know of anybody following pay, because And here's another thing. Well, they're satanic. Well, once again, that's a Christian belief. You know, I was doing what Satan told me. I was. You know what though? You know, I think about it. I mean, every time I think about this, I'm like, I keep having to remember. Um, Charles Manson was teaching his people that he was Christ. You know, that he was Christ incarnate. There's a lot of people, like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know a guy who killed himself because he believed he was Christ and he needed to be crucified for his sins. But once again, those are all uh, Christian Judeo
Mm-hmm.
beliefs. So I really don't know. I don't know of any that you
Well,
could say, oh, it's paganism that causes mental health issues because they don't believe in God. Well, it's been hypothesized before that um, God is just another member of a pantheon.
mm-hmm.
It's that particular pantheon, that particular tradition. There's not anything saying that there is no God, is the way the Christians believe. It's just they believe that's the only God. So, I kind of got off on that soapbox, didn't I? There was something he said in the book of Exodus too. He said something about I will smite all the Egyptian gods and things like that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he admitted that there's other gods. Oh my. Um,
Right.
but I believe I don't know anybody who committed sins because they were pagan. But there's no proof that anybody's Christ. There's no proof that anybody's Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even people who claim to be good Christians go to church every Sunday, but they're Sunday Christians, or
So,
in some cases, Saturday Christians.
trying to do research to see, just real quick, I just Googled it, see what Dr. Google says. And it comes up, results are like, a pagan biker club's response to someone wearing a fake biker gang jacket, or some guy with the last name Pagan who shot up some people in Chicago last year, and mostly is discrimination against pagans rather than pagans committing crimes. So,
Well,
mm-hmm,
Naysay says, unfortunately, the atrocities of child sacrifice and worse are older than Christianity. That is true,
mm-hmm, that is true.
absolutely, but that again is not necessarily. That's not. Well, we were talking about, how many. So, but yes, that is true. We know that for a fact that that kind of thing has always happened, and it's unfortunate, but that's not really. That's
It's historical, not contemporary.
that's true, but once again, we're not necessarily talking about mental health issues either, and
Yeah.
paganism causing mental health issues. That's just unfortunately that was a belief that they held.
Mm-hmm.
That was a belief they held within their tradition or their rituals. That
Mm-hmm.
that's what they were supposed to do. Right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's already
And so,
past.
and
It's
I think
beyond.
part of it, a lot of contemporary pagans don't feel that same suppression or oppression that Christianity
Mm.
and a lot of the Abrahamic faiths provide. So,
Well, and
yeah.
plus, the question also is if a Christian's going to point a finger and say, mental health issues are the domain of the pagans. A lot of people have issues because of the dogmas that they
Hmm.
were taught, and because they believe Christians are not gay, and they believe they're gay.
Well,
You
so,
know,
anyways. So we started off positive, had some chuckles, got a little negative, and then the dark side, Cashew, yes. Cashew Gesundheit. Do you know who that is?
yeah, I've seen the name around. Was in the
Okay.
portal earlier
Okay.
today.
So, so let's go back to the fun and light. Okay, so I'm not all love and light. I'm pretty great, but still, remember your spiritual awakening. You're going to start noticing things. You're going to start experiencing things, and you're going to start seeing that there's negative people and toxic people out there that you just don't want to be around, and that's real. That's a real thing that you're going to experience. And some of those people might be family, maybe people you're living with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an easy process to clean out the toxicity in your life. So, baby steps. Baby steps are good. Um, Journal it. Really, truly journal it. Um, and what you're trying to do and what you hope to accomplish. That way, you know what? You can, it takes little baby steps. And have compassion for yourself as you're going through whatever it is that you're doing. Um, whether you're going through a spiritual awakening or dealing with mental health stuff, um, you know, whatever it is, make sure you're reaching out to someone who can really truly help you. And then there's a lot of people out there who say they can help with mental health issues and help you with counseling, and just make sure that you're working with someone who really does know.
Well, there's nothing wrong with trying a few different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
Try a holistic route, try a spiritual route, try, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say, if it, the very last road should be medication, but if you need it, you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I
So,
said before, only use it until you've come to your realizations.
yeah. Let it be a tool to use rather than a crutch.
Right.
It's really hard to build a house with a crutch. You need a hammer for that. And you can't really. It's harder to use a hammer if you're hanging onto a crutch.
You can really hammer that one home, huh?
Mm-hmm. Can. So, yeah, you can't build a house with a crutch. So, but, yeah, remember your self-talk, the things you say to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're joking around, think of it as texting. So how often do you send a text thinking you're laughing and having a good time, and someone receives it and like, you horrible bad person? Because it's 2D. There's no dimension to it. There's no emotion to it or anything like that. It's 2D. It's flat. So often the things that we say to ourselves are 2D and flat too. Even if you're laughing and having a good time, it's like, oh, that's so funny. Oh, I'm so fat. Ha ha ha. Whatever. Because you're saying your brain doesn't hear the humor or the laughter. It only hears the words. So use the good words. Use the right words. If you need more words, ask me. I'll send you some words.
There's a friggin' thesaurus on mine.
And Dr. Google will give you all sorts of words. There's thesauruses online all the time. Self-talk in the car when no one's around. Self-talk in the shower. Mini-Me self-talks by singing. I have a little video of her where she's sitting on her bed playing with her dolls and she's telling herself that she's beautiful. It's cute. I'll have to find it because it's really cute. So, yes. Just be aware what you think and what you say have an impact on your self-value and self-worth. So, yes. If you need more words, send me an email. I'll send you some words. It's wildpaisley@gmail.com. If you need help and you don't know where to turn, email me, wildpaisley@gmail.com, and I will help you. Whether or not it's direct, I don't know. But, yeah, I do have access to a lot of resources to make sure that you're finding someone. And that's real. You need it. So, yeah. 2 minutes. Turkish.
You said 2 minutes 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes, Turkish. No, I mean,
take your Eye Life. Eye Life is not medication. It is medicine. Two
yes,
totally different things.
Good point.
Yep.
So, no, I mean, those are all wonderful points. And yes, we were going down a dark rabbit hole. But, beware of what you're saying. Be aware of what you're saying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of toxicity. Drink your water.
Yeah. Drink your water. Flush out that negativity. Let it,
yeah. It's like internally washing your tummy.
Yes. When you're washing your hands, take a drink of water.
Hopefully with clean hands.
Clean hands. You wash your hands a lot these days, you guys. Be cautious of the hand sanitizer you're using. It's not all created equal. Some of it's bad.
And all of it's napalm.
Not all of it.
Yeah, all of it is napalm.
The stuff I have at work isn't.
It's got no alcohol in it. Then it's not hand sanitizer.
I don't know. One smells like coconut and the other one smells like lavender.
Which means they both smell like poop.
It does have alcohol. It's made by Shingle Mill Distillery, so it's got vodka in it.
It's made from vodka. So
it's
but
not
anyhow.
napalm, it's vodka. So, anyways, self-care. Take care of yourself. Take a bubble bath. Go for a walk. Read a good book.
Ask for help if you need it.
Rub your feet. Ask for help if you think you need it, or you might need it.
Yeah.
Because odds are you probably already do. Yeah. Wash your cells inside and out. Drink your water. So we will see you next week. It'll be a surprise. I don't know what we're talking about. Maybe crystal grids and Earth resonance, because it sounds good.
Okay.
So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. We'll see you next week, and be safe out there.
Good night.
night.
Lord within the sun. As we will, so mote it be the spell forever done.